period?
None.
None? We have none. Okay. Next we have report of honors and accomplishments of students and staff.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, we've got 4 schools that we want to recognize, and major accomplishment at all 4 of our middle schools. The awards that we're going to hand out, and you have on your agenda there, but we have schools that we're recognizing for Palmetto Gold and Palmetto Silver Awards. Those were established by the State Board of Education. Schools were rewarded for their academic achievement and for closing the achievement gap. As you can see, our middle schools have done very well in this past year. It'll take just a minute, Madam Chair, but I think this is exactly what we're about, and I'm not sure to brag on them. Busby Middle School, Dr. Brooks, have you got some of your folks here? And well, I'll let you accept it and CR.
I have CR.
I think CR needs to come on up here.
Absolutely.
Busby Middle School was recognized by the State Board of Education a Palmetto Silver Award for general performance and a Palmetto Silver Award for closing the achievement gap. Both of them come with a plaque that I am sure will end up being in Dr. Brooks' office. And a flag, Dr. Brooks is noted for hanging up stuff. I'm sure that's going to be somewhere out the floor. CR, you weren't there, but thank you for your leadership in doing that. Dr. Brooks, thank you for yours and carrying it on. Very good. Former middle school, Megan, and you must well bring Johnson nothing with you. We recognized Fulmer last year as a school to watch. This year, Fulmer has received a Silver Award for general performance and a Silver Award for closing the achievement gap, and it's just another indication of some really good things that are going on over there. We had a Teacher of the Year that was the top 5 finalists, lots of good stuff going on at Fulmer. Thank you, Megan, we appreciate it. John, thank you so much. Northside Middle, Lisa, sophomore. Northside Middle, this is a big deal. Northside Middle has been awarded the Palmetto Gold Award for general performance. There's only gold and silver, and that was gold. Pine Ridge, David, I asked you to come up, but I think Brad's here too. David, you're inheriting a really good situation. I think you know that. Brad, the effort to you and your staff last year at Pine Ridge, a Silver Award for general achievement, a Silver Award for closing the achievement gap. We're moving in the right direction in the middle school. Thank you so much. David, thank you for making this go.
Just touch it one time.
Just touch it. Brad, you can't keep it, but you do get to hold it for just a second. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. And if I could get all of the principals that we just recognized in schools to stand up on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I think we're going to give you a standing ovation. Next, we have unfinished business, and I believe there is no unfinished business, so we'll move on To new business, first item on that agenda is item A, consideration of request for out-of-state overnight student travel. Mr. Hinton?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Tonight we're bringing you two proposals. One is Airport High School student government to go to the Southern Association of Student Councils in Lebanon, Tennessee, which is just east of Nashville. And the I-2 Tech Annual College Visit, you can see they're going to go down in the southern part with the Tallahassee all the way down to Florida State to show the colleges to the kids. We recommend both.
I think the only difference is, and I may be wrong, but I think the when Casey visited is the Quest annual college visits.
It is.
You know what I'm
You're
saying?
right. It is Quest. Thank you.
Yeah. But I think on the application, it might have said I did that too, but I think it's the Quest annual.
Yeah.
But I'll make a motion to approve the request for out-of-state travel.
I have a motion, do I have a second? Second by Mr. Giles. All in favor? Any discussion?
The rationale for airport, when it says rationale for out-of-state, it says conference to develop and.
It's the leadership skills for their new elected students. They participate in these every year. They just are in a different location. But it's leadership development.
Pointing out that needs to be complete.
Probably is on the original one because it got off the copy.
Okay. Another question I have. And I always hate to be the bad guy, but I always end up being the bad guy. But I do not understand when we got 5 colleges here in the Columbia area, USC, Columbia College, Allen, Benedict, and Tech School, why these kids are spending $529, while we're asking them to spend. I know it's a good time to get together and have fun and to develop that relationship, but we're about education and it just seems like we take risks sending them to Georgia and to Florida, out of state, rather than taking them right here for this experience.
The one thing I can answer back, because when I saw this, it actually warmed my heart because 30-something years ago, I taught gifted education in Richmond too. In 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, the high school gifted kids, they took them to a different region of and it's mainly East Coast, but they did some of the towards Nashville, Tennessee, and that area. And they had a student that graduated from either Spring Valley or Richland Northeast meet the kids and take them around. They got to meet the admissions people, how to apply for scholarships. I think it just allows kids to know that there are more options out there and get to see universities. There was one young lady that's tickled to death because she wants to go to marine biology and Florida State is her place. And I said, you need to go and ask the questions there.
I understand that, but I think those questions could be asked right here, and it just seems $500 to put on some of those parents is an awful lot of money. Choices are choices.
And it is a lot of money too, but it is also optional. I don't think the kids who want to go visit those schools are the ones who sign up, so I don't think it's a requirement of the program or anything like that. And it's also they do things with like the University of South Carolina Honors College and different programs. They brought in Clemson. They do a lot every quarter with the local schools, but this is their opportunity to at least get some exposure they might not otherwise would get. I don't know, $529, I could probably go take my child to tour all these 5 schools in 2 different states. So I think that's why they do it. It's not a requirement, and it's really 100% optional. So from that perspective, I might use your mind over that.
Any other?
How many of these students will the school be putting the bill for? Is it usually that many?
I don't have that number wrong, but no ma'am. I've never been contacted. I don't think anybody has to say we need some help with some, so I think they take care of that in-house. Okay.
Also, is this not used maybe to get more people into Quest?
This is truly for those kids to see what's out there. They have the academics.
So it's a good recruitment also, is it
For
not that program?
But it's a recruitment for those colleges opportunities as well. And again, to get those kids the experience to see, maybe there's a place that I don't want to shortchange McCusker for Carolina or Clemson, but there are programs like that marine biology program she's not going to get here in the state.
If not, maybe we ask a request too, if there's many students that need it, maybe we could get some corporate businesses to help with that rather than to take a child not being able to go.
I'll make sure of that, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right. Next is item B, consideration of approval for an ACT 155 request for granting of a high school diploma.
Motion to approve the granting of a high school diploma under Act 155.
Have a motion, second by Mr. Graham. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Next item, item C, is consideration of a guaranteed maximum price for airport high school field house. Mr. Eisenhower.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. James, the first presentation we're going to make for you is the continuation of the field house project at Airport High School. We have with us Luke Berry of Lambert Architects and Greg Hughes of Contract Construction. Luke's just going to do a very short presentation just to show you what's in this guaranteed maximum price, just a reminder, and then Greg's going to give you the guaranteed maximum price. We also want to say that we are finishing up the site package out there, and at this point in time, they've done well on staying within the budget on that project. We don't want to announce how well we've done because we've got a little more work to be done out there. And just in case we were to have a change order, we don't want folks to know how much money is still in the budget. So I don't apologize for being that way, but that's just the nature of the beast. So with that, Luke, if you'll give us a presentation, please.
So this information you've seen before. We have a couple of new renderings, but just a reminder, the building we're talking about is the blue colored building at the end zone, the south end of the field on the plan here. The floor plan, the main part of the building is made up of locker rooms, so 4 locker rooms or 2 large locker rooms depending on how you use the building. Training room with access to the exterior, large amount of equipment storage and laundry area for all the teams to utilize, and then a coach's meeting area. This is an updated render from the parking lot. This looks dark on the screen. But this is hopefully an evening shot of what you'll see if you're coming in from this side. And then here's a rendering of the divisional champs running out from underneath the scoreboard and looking at it from the field side. Any questions on that side?
Let me just say this. You saw a logo on that floor. I'm real hesitant about putting those types of things on the floor, and that's something that we will talk about, but I don't want you to come back and say, well, you showed us a logo on the floor. And the reason I say that is because logos change throughout the years, and I hate to have a logo embedded in the floor that's totally outdated. So that's something that we will discuss further, but I just want to make sure that the board understands that that may or may not happen. Greg?
Yeah, we're excited about the timing of this guaranteed maximum price presentation because we're finishing up the early site, like Don said, building pads ready to go so we can maintain the momentum we built out there. And so we're here to present a guaranteed maximum price for the field house at Airport High School for $3,059,370. Proud to say we had very good participation from subcontractors and suppliers. Feel like it's a very competitive price, and we're within the overall budget on this project.
Motion to approve the GMP for Airport Field House.
Second.
A motion and a second. Ms. Kessler, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
At this time, we will ask the folks from Boomerang, James Gillightly, and from MB Con, I think we have Bill Cram, to come up, and we're going to talk about the guaranteed maximum price for the project at Congaree Wood Early Childhood Center. And again, we're going to follow suit, and James is going to give you just a brief reminder of what is included in this project, and then Bill will give you the guaranteed maximum price. And we'll also follow that up with a guaranteed maximum price on Pine Ridge Middle School. And again, James is going to give you a reminder, and Bill will give you a guaranteed maximum price. And we will ask that we vote on each of those individually.
Good evening. This is, as Don said, this is just a quick reminder. Pine Ridge, Congaree Wood, we did these together. We're going to have 2 GMPs for you, but we're pretty excited about what to present for you. These are obviously on the same campus. If you recall, just as a reminder, we're doing about 11,000 square foot kitchen cafeteria addition at Pine Ridge. It includes significant new canopies, renovating the old dining, renovating the old kitchen area, and doing some pretty significant renovation to the existing toilet room with other miscellaneous things as well. But that's really the main scope. At Congaree Wood, we're adding the classrooms for the younger grades, 3 of those. We're adding the Project Lead the Way lab and a general classroom on the wood side, as well as renovation of the existing toilet rooms, as well as all of the work with the drainage, erosion, and ramps to the playgrounds. So with that.
Let me say this too. You saw on that drawing that one of the additional classrooms on the wood side was bid as an alternate. And the bids came in so well, we were able to do that as well. So with that, Bill.
We went out to the market and kind of repeat what Ray said. We went out, got better reviews. It's a tight market, but we got a lot of good bids. They were very competitive. We felt like we have a good list of subcontractors. And happy to report we are within budget at Pine Ridge Middle School with a guaranteed maximum price of $5,866,040. 5,866,040.
Madam Chair, we'd like to recommend approval of the guaranteed maximum price as presented.
I make a motion that we accept the $5,866,040.
Second. I have a motion and a second by Ms. Brown. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Ms. Kessler?
Are you also doing the air conditioning on the wood section? Wood?
The air conditioning on wood has already been done. We just finished setting those last units Wednesday, Tommy? Wednesday.
Yesterday.
Okay, well, I went out for an open house, and I was very disappointed that wasn't finished prior. I want to know what held it up and why it wasn't finished prior to. Those teachers worked, and they had open house with no air conditioning.
And
well, Ms. Kessler,
you're right, Ms. Kessler. Part of that is, and the best laid plans of mice and men, but part of that is we had a week of rain where we would have opened up a hole in the roof the size of one of those rooms. So the rain held it back for a week, then we had to getting them here. So between the shipping them and the time frame to be able to get them in, yesterday was, it wasn't ideal, and it was hot, and I agree with you, but
sometimes you have to work in the evenings from 5 to 7. We've got daylight from 5 to 8. I think when we've got a contract and it's deadline, they need to be deadlines, particularly when it affects teaching. When I started teaching, we didn't have air conditioning, so it was no big problem. That tells you how old I am. But for these, it does make a difference. And I'm so upset that, and apologize to those folks, because they also requested fans from the district, and there was no fans sent, so they were out there suffering. And it was a pretty hard task, and I hope we have an opportunity maybe to reward those teachers, maybe a couple hours on some in-service day, to let them know how much we appreciate the hard work that they did getting prepared and ready for school, in spite of the conditions. I appreciate it.
Done question. Time frame as far as start construction on this?
We expect to start in September, and we finish before school comes back next year.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right.
Okay, now we'd like to give you the guaranteed maximum price for Congaree Wood Early Childhood Center.
All the same comments again, we're within budget, $3,440,358.
Would you repeat that, please, sir?
3,440,358.
Thank you.
Same time frame as well, do it
Yes,
simultaneously.
sir. Same time frame, good coverage, good sub-coverage.
Motion to approve the GMP for Congaree Wood Early Childhood Center.
One thing I wanted to mention on that, if you don't mind me taking just 1 minute, is that work includes the work of the erosion control and the ramps to the playground. I was not here when bids came in on an early piece for that, and I know there was some consternation about the cost. And I just want to talk about that. I am responsible for anything that gets presented here relative to those things. The reason that came to here, and it seemed to be above budget, was because the information we gave to Don was an estimate for the cost of the ramp going from the building down to the playground. What we included in that package that got bid were other things that's already in the project. But it needed to be done with the ramp, which included a 1/4 acre of grading, 4 inches of topsoil, some underground drainage, irrigation system, some other things. So when we got a price for all of that, it was above what we told Don the ramp was going to cost. So it wasn't necessarily over budget, it's just that we didn't communicate clearly enough with Don as to what all other stuff needed to be in there to actually keep the costs down. We didn't want to do all that ramp work and then have to come back and then try to do erosion control methods. So we were just trying to get a lot of things done in one package, and it was just a communication error on our part to Don. So my responsibility, and the way I'm not going to let that happen again is anything that's about to come to the board, I'm going to make sure that all the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted, and everything that is accounted for. If it's a money issue, everything's going to be accounted for.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a motion. I have a second. Any more discussion? Any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Madam Chair, the last part of the new business is that we're at a point with the elementary school we're building out on Bulldog Boulevard, Street Extension, where that we need to be thinking in terms of a name. We need to be thinking about mascots. We need to be thinking about school colors, so that we might incorporate those into the design if we're going to. My recommendation would be, in accordance with board policy, that we identify a committee that would work with the design team and myself, and basically come back in the September board meeting with some recommendations on names and colors and mascots.
That was pretty much the directive from the board last time, but there wasn't a board vote, so we would like a vote to approve moving forward and talking about that. We passed out the, as you all know, we passed out the policy to the board. So we'd like to just move forward. We'll put together a committee and give you all some recommendations. Yes, ma'am.
Could that committee not be the faculty and staff of 2 schools?
Well, it'll be.
I know it'll be representatives from them, but it could be predominantly heavy with those people?
Yes, ma'am. I think they have a vested interest.
I mean, I don't think PTA, SIC, teacher of the year, that kind of stuff would be very appropriate for most schools.
Obviously, the members are your choice, but one of the things that we try to do, or I've suggested, and all of the buildings that I've done, is that we look at trying to capture some of the history of the community in the design, and somehow incorporate that either into something in the terrazzo floors and the walls, somehow incorporate some of that, and capture some of that, and preserve some of that history of those communities. And you're going to see a presentation on that tonight of how we're recommending that we do that in one of our communities. But I would just like to maybe throw out as a possibility, there's a museum in Casey that I think the guy would be very willing to be a part of that, whether he serves as part of the committee or not, or if he just kind of is an advisor. But I think I would like to see us at least consider the history of that community and try to incorporate some of that.
Mr. Mayor.
One thing that I would stress is that no matter what, that we impress upon this committee, that we don't name schools after people.
That's in your policy.
And it's, I know, but it doesn't matter. These committees sometimes take a life of their own. And people come up with who they want to name it after, and we've got to stick to that. Otherwise, it puts us in a bad position. So it's got to be clear that the 5 things they bring are not tied to somebody's name. If they're going to bring us 5 choices for names.
All right, so you want to vote, Dr. James?
Yes, ma'am, we just want to be able to proceed.
Madam Chairman, I move that we authorize the staff to come up with a committee to present the board with 5 potential naming options for the new elementary school on 12th Street.
I have a motion, and a second. Second, Ms. Kessler. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. All right, thank you. Next, we have administrative divisional reports. The first one is item A, superintendent, and you have no reports.
No, ma'am, we've got some highlights that Dr. Hayward Evans is going to show a little clip that we've used, so I don't want to take your time because you're going to be impressed.
Of course, I didn't do this. We give full credit to our technology team and to Mr. Ward. We did use some of your photographs, so thank you for allowing us to do that. But oftentimes we forget to celebrate all that is right going on in our schools, and so this is how we kicked our school year off with our school administrators, and we thought we'd share it with you as well.
solve problems and think outside the box.
The first winner of the elementary group, how many times award is?
Can have the lights, please? Thank you. So we hope that you're just as proud of what is going on in the district as we are. We just wanted to start the year off by celebrating all that's right in our schools. If you will bring your attention, I'll go on to the next agenda item, Ms. Swoop, if that's okay.
That is fine. Who did that?
The technology team.
That's fine. Continue.
We wanted to give you all an update and some talking points to share with our community in the event that you have heard some discussion regarding the assessment calendar situation. What has happened, as we shared with you at the last board meeting, each district has now been tasked with developing their own assessment calendar. We must assess within the last 30 days of school. And so our team got together and made some recommendations. We sent this information out to the principals. They gave us recommendations. Some teachers had some recommendations, as well as some concerns, but this is what has been submitted to the State Department of Education. And we wanted to give you the talking points just in case you heard any concerns out in the district. So you'll see here, we're starting with social studies, grade 7, and historically and longitudinally, if you will look at our data, we have performed very well at grade 7 in social studies. And so we feel like if we start with that we should not lose any ground. Another point to highlight, to point out, is that social studies in the past has not been included in the federal accountability system. Now, we don't know what will happen this year, but in the past it has not been included, science, ELA, and math. With regards to ELA and math, in the past, in the formulas, they have weighed higher than the science portion. So you'll see why we started with social studies and science. We tried to be very smart about our strategy. We put ELA and math towards the end so that we will have more days for instruction. Math has typically been our Achilles heel, and so we tried to put that at the very end. You will see grade 3 ELA embedded that second week in May, and the reason we put that grade 3 ELA there was because, as you're aware, in 17-18 is when the legislation kicks in regarding third grade retention. And so we will need that data back early in the event that we have to notify parents, and we hope that we don't. But we need that data back early. So we wanted to make sure that you had this information. If you're asking why we're only testing 2 grades at a time, you'll recall that we're moving to the online format this spring, and we feel that we're well prepared for that. We don't want to overhaul the testing system, not with regards to our system. Our infrastructure, we feel, is capable of handling the testing, but the system that they send us to, or the company that they use, the groups that piloted the online method last year, they did experience some difficulties when they tested several grade levels at a time. And so we figured we test 2 grade levels at a time so as to not to encounter that problem and to try to manage the technology portion of it. At this point in time, I will entertain any questions. Yes, ma'am.
When does high school testing start?
You will see the ELC will start on Friday, May the 12th.
Okay, I didn't see this high school there.
It's end of course, yes, ma'am.
Okay, but what do you have planned for the time after EOC? Because that's when the movies come out, 2 weeks of movies every day, or they don't even have to come to class. That's what upsets me, that's what upsets the community, is because you give those EOCs so early and then school's out.
Yes, ma'am, and I think, and you brought that concern up before, but with this testing, yes, ma'am, with this testing calendar, we pulled it back as far as we could with regards to the school calendar.
What restrictions are going to be placed on the classroom teachers and administrators to occupy that time with meaningful learning experiences.
Well, it's our expectation that we continue to teach. Of course, we try to provide opportunities for the next grade level, you know, some of those standards, so forth and so on, but we can certainly continue to monitor that. But with this schedule, we did push it back as far as we could with the end of course.
And one thing too, Ms. Kessler, having taken the end of course is not the end of the school year, so we would expect that the teachers are still using graded material.
Expectation is a good word, because when it's been reported to you last year, and it's been reported many other years, the movies come out in a majority of classrooms.
And
that's not good.
And I agree with you, movies or not, and one of the things that superintendents have just complained about over and over is to make testing as late in the year as possible. And the state has done a better job with this than it has been in the past. Now, most all of our principals are here, and I think they understand that this board expects us to have instruction. And I look at the expectation very positive, and I think those guys out there will take care of it and make sure we have that. But we'll watch it.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any other questions regarding the proposed assessment calendar? Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is finance. Ms. Richardson.
Good evening, thank you. Have first just the very preliminary unaudited June 30th financials for general fund. Revenue first. Revenue is looking really good. Came in at just barely over 100%. And again, this is unaudited. Auditors will start their audit the middle of September. They'll come in and start doing everything. I'm happy to answer any questions you have on this right now. Next are expenditures, same a bit. These are still unaudited preliminary June 30th numbers. Still within budget. Happy to answer any questions.
So right now, we're about a net increase to fund balance of about 1.1.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a little more than that. That's prior to making that transfer per our board policy.
Right.
That'll be the final thing. Okay, next I wanted to circle back to some information that I gave everybody at the June board meeting. We had our last bond sale, $100 million bond sale, where the sale was much better than we had projected, which freed up about $1.7 million for us to be able to issue in bonds for our CPIF. So I just want to let you know we are going to participate in the next SCAGO bond sale, which will be in early September for that $1.7 million. Questions? Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda, we have administration and student services, construction update. Mr. Eisenhower.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. James, I want to bring James Gillightly back up to the podium so that he can give you. We've been working real hard on trying to get all of our projects on paper so that communities will kind of get a good feel for what they're going to be getting. We've made a couple presentations to you on the Springdale Elementary remodel and additions, and we've come up with, I think, some good ideas. We met with a couple folks from the community, and in talking about trying to incorporate some of the history into this design. When we mentioned just one little thing that we had heard about the community, I mean, it was like a light went off, and they were very excited, and I think continue to be excited about the possibility of capturing some of the history of this community in this design. So this is all conceptual at this time. We're not sure that we can. Well, quite sure that we're not going to be within budget. So we're going to just have to look at it and figure out, what we can and what we can't do. But we want to see if you like it. So with that, James, take it away.
And I'm going to hold you just for a second.
Yes.
I forgot something, so I'm going to go back. Without objection, the monthly financial reports will stand approved as presented. Sorry, that's on me.
I was in trouble. Okay, Springdale, we have presented some to you before, and we got some very good feedback from you last time we presented. And this is the site plan. You've seen this basically before. We're adding kitchen, cafeteria, classrooms at this end, new administration that's facing Watling Road here, significant new drives and double drive parkings for drop-offs, automobile here, the same thing here across from the church. Greatly increases the ability of getting the cars off the roads, increases the parking capacity. Also off Parish Pond, we're showing a service drive to the rear of the cafeteria. That'll also be bus drop-off as well. So the scheme, the sort of party is the same as what you've seen. And to recap a little bit, the interior renovation, right now this is the front door, which is this door. It's the existing administration here, and then media center, and then this is kitchen and cafeteria. What we're proposing is turning those areas up front into 4 classrooms, the rear kitchen cafeteria, the stage areas, into a renovated space for a much significantly larger media center than what is represented here. This is the media center currently. So you can see the paint there, the difference in size. The additions, this is the existing pre-K wing. We will be adding 2 classrooms, about 1,100 square feet each, significant storage, game, toilets, about a 10,000 square foot kitchen cafeteria, similar to what we're doing at Pine Ridge, and then again at the front is the new administration building. And this is showing the entry and the new drop-offs as well. So it's really going to be a huge improvement at this campus. Now, as Don was alluding to, if you know Springdale, and I haven't before this project, it's really an interesting place because this school is truly the center of the community. And it's really not the building in particular that's important. It's really just the cohesiveness, and that site is, and apparently always has been used as, the center of that community. It's not just school functions, it's weddings, and it's all kinds of different things that we learned about. One of the things we did learn about, which is, very well documented, obviously, especially out at the airport, but the Doolittle Raiders, who are the trained bombers of World War II, trained right there in that community. And if you know that story, they are the first Americans to strike back at the Japanese after Pearl Harbor. And the way they did that was they used B-25 bombers, and they launched them off an aircraft carrier called the Hornet, USS Hornet. And they used this plane because it could fly a long way, and it was the only one that they could launch off an aircraft carrier. And it was a one-way flight because they could not land it on an aircraft carrier. So it's a tremendous historical thing that this community really has kind of woven into its fabric. So with that history, we started thinking about how that might be incorporated, how that teaching moment might be part of this work and the importance of that in this community. So I know these are really long elevations. It's a long school. Here's a rendering of sort of the entire facade along Watling Road. A little zoom in. This was the original entryway. We're getting rid of the canopy. We're taking that away as appearing as an entry piece. We see here a new administration building that's out front, and then we see here the new kitchen cafeteria. And we're starting to pull in some of these forms that begin to harken back to airplane hangars and things like that. So conceptually, as Don was saying, this would be a new front door, drastically improving the looks of the campus with a scheme of, currently the school colors are blue, so primarily blue. That works well with this, where we're, at least in this iteration, showing a silver gray roof with blue accents at the windows. So this is showing a new building as that would be the entrance to the new administration facing Watling Road. This is a rendering from the side of that. This will be the new parking, and then this would be looking at the new kitchen cafeteria as well, with similar forms. This is a shot of the existing facade, obviously very different. And you know, one of the tasks here is how do you deal with that in a sort of creatively economic way. So what we're suggesting, we can really clean up this facade. We may be able to use similar colors, some stucco, update the windows. It's a fairly westerly facing building, bringing in some of the same kind of wing-shaped curve forms, a little bit of landscaping, and we can really breathe some new life into even the existing conditions at the campus. So conceptually, this could be the entrance into the new administration area, the lobby, or one idea we're bouncing around, and I know it makes Don nervous, but is the idea of the renovation of the existing kitchen, cafeteria, stage area, and how that might, the interior part of that project might be this type of theme, where it becomes an old airport hangar. And there's been an excellent suggestion of what if you had a B-25 bomber wing and that was a checkout counter. That's genius. I mean, that's, you know, so we're bouncing that kind of stuff around. It's all conceptual at this point, but this is really where we are with it. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
That's a nice look.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that this is 1,000,000% better than what we have been looking at. And I think this is more in line with maybe what the board thought were going to be the ultimate renovations at this school. So I'm really pleased to see it.
Good.
Can this be done under budget?
It'll be done under budget because we won't.
It's good. Mr. Kessler, you gotta remember that we said up front, that Don said this is not in budget. This got to be tweaked. So before you put James too far out there.
He already said if you under budget.
It depends on what
I did my best to say
What we're presenting really are ideas, and what we have to do is marry reality and the available funds and the existing conditions to those ideas. And so we will marry those together so that they're respectful of the budget. That is our job.
We talked about this and talked about it, and really and truly, we just want to make sure that the board sort of approved of the direction we were going as far as pulling the history and before. I mean, James has done a lot, but if the board didn't like it, you just have to start over.
And for the information, probably most of you know it, there was one of the Doolittles that lived in our community, passed away several years ago, but his granddaughter teaches in our district. Yes. Mr. Daniel.
I think this is a great idea. And whatever we do, I mean, I understand it's reflected in the architecture of the building, but we need to make sure that there's something when you walk in that is a testament to Doolittle and why the building is the way it is. So it sort of tells that story to new kids as they come and as they enter the community, that they'll be able to understand the history behind that and not just think, well, that's a nice functioning building.
Absolutely.
But I think that's great.
That was a good idea about that wing checkout. I
love that genius part.
James, can we get those on eBay?
So Madam Chair, we really weren't looking for you to vote on this. We just wanted to kind of throw it out there and get some feedback. And I know we got several members of the community here. And, you know, we welcome their input. Obviously, we don't want to do it here and take all night, but we certainly welcome their input into this in the direction that we're going. So, thank you for your time.
And our next step will be to move in this direction and develop the design a little bit further and start to make that process very easy.
You have copies of that? You have copies of that?
Sure, I can email them to whomever wants. I can send them to you as PDFs.
It will be within some budget.
Well, if we could break it down to the good budget, come on, give me extra effort.
Madam Chair, the last presentation that I have tonight is with Jump Carter Cease and just an update on the Cake Center. So I'll ask Todd with Jump Carter Cease to come up.
Thank you, Mr. Eisenhower. Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. James, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. It's an exciting time, beginning of a new school year, so we wanted to bring you up to speed with where we are on the Cake Center. As you know, over the last several months, we've been working closely with Don and Bernie and Ms. Coleman, and including input from the teachers at the various different technology programs within the district. And we've been able to take their comments and include them in the plans, respond to their needs, and we think we have a very efficient, functional sort of layout, and we'd like to give you an update tonight. Happy to have with me Ashley Cahoon, one of our really bright stars in our office, and has been working hard on this project as well. If we could dim the lights, please, Steve, a little bit. This is just a site plan that, just to orient you, 12th Street extension runs across the bottom of the drawing. The new elementary school, which is under construction now and progressing nicely, is located here. Bulldog Lane, which leads back to Busby Fine Arts Center, is there. And the new Cake Center will be located in this corner of the property. And it's basically where the trees are still standing on the site if you've ridden by there.
All right, we'll take a quick look at the overall layout. We've rotated it since the last time we presented to you just to make it a little bit bigger and easier to read. But on the very top part of the screen are the high bay areas that we've talked about before. There's welding, auto mechanics, automotive collision, law and public safety, building construction science, and horticulture and animal science. Those will, we also go into a culinary arts space. That space feeds into a central seminar auditorium space where we can have large group functions, both in bleacher style and as banquets as well for the community. Coming down the left side, we've got a health science lab with classrooms that feed off of that lab. We've got a sports medicine classroom that's attached to that health science suite and has a classroom of its own. We've got additional classrooms, science lab, and then you'll see in the orange the admin center. If you go back across to the final wing, we've got cosmetology, barbering. We've got another science lab, and then we can be back into the high bay areas. Going up to the second floor, we were able to take advantage of some of the space at the high bay areas to have classrooms that overlook these high bays, so when visitors come, they can see what's going on in these spaces, and you have an area to collaborate to learn. We also have IT, engineering. We've incorporated a TV studio right in the center, so when you're milling through that center atrium space, you'll hopefully be able to see newscasts going on. And then coming down the wing, we've got a couple more IT spaces, some classroom space, and then finally your digital arts and design space. That's both graphic arts and your more traditional, or both graphic and digital arts. And what we're really excited to show you tonight is we've put together a flyer to help you visualize some of these spaces that we're talking about in the plan. So, should be able, we may have to.
So this is just kind of an aerial. You see the elementary school at the top of the drawing. From 12th Street Extension, the student drop-off of the new Lexington 2 Cage Center. Still using very traditional sorts of materials, but using them in a very innovative and high-tech way, creating this main entrance for the students. And we'll kind of go around the 12th Street Extension elevation, around to the main entrance, and this would be where most of the staff and visitors enter the site. Then coming down the other wing where cosmetology and barbering, which will have outside access, so visitors to those spaces won't have to go through the school. They can go right into cosmetology or barbering. The high bay areas are made out of precast concrete. It's very economical but functional building materials. We have large overhangs. This is the service yard where auto mechanics, collision, building construction, law and public safety, and the horticulture space with the adjacent greenhouse that could actually grow food for some of the culinary arts type programs.
So we'll go from here and we'll go inside. This is coming in through the secure entry into kind of the center atrium, which is the hub of activity for the school. You'll see that you come right into the seminar or auditorium space. This is set up for a banquet right now.
You could host the Airport Foundation or BC High School Foundation in that space.
This would be the health science lab. You see you've got 5 beds in there that they can practice on dummies. This is
our Dr. James.
I thought the term was synonymous.
Here we've got the cosmetology. It's set up to have styling stations, pedicure, manicure, the works. This is law and public safety. And there you see the classrooms overlooking that we talked about earlier into the space. And then this would be an Project Lead the Way type space where you see there's a computer lab in the back room and it feeds into this flexible lab space. It's got project tables, CNC routers, and that type.
I think I did that.
We're trying to get back on track. All right, well.
Yeah, I'm starting right there. That's good. Sorry.
Oh, I did it again. All right, we're back on track. So again, this is engineering. That way you can have space to build your projects. Got the CNC routers, laser cutters, all the equipment that you'll need in that space. And then this is coming back into that center atrium space, but from the second level, kind of give you a look. That's back at the secure entry. You can see the TV studio above. And then finally, this is the student entry side. So you'll see 12th Street in the background.
And as you come in that space, we'll have the opportunity to create a large billboard of students' work, flat panel screens that could really be highly visible from 12th Street, especially at night, but also an everyday sort of event, keeping students and visitors up to date with all of the exciting programs that are taking place in that facility. So it's really exciting, and we appreciate the opportunity to be a part of it. We're kind of moving along with the documents into design development now, and progressing nicely through that. We'll be able to have an early site package out for bid sometime this fall, and then the building package would be out for bids sometime right after the first of the year, with an anticipated building opening in the spring of 18, so that give the instructors and administration time to move in, prepare for the students beginning in August of 18.
Thank you, Todd.
All right, thank you.
Madam Chair, that concludes our presentations, and I think you can see these architects and design teams have done a really good job, and I appreciate their work. You also have in your packet a handout of updates of where we are with construction projects. I'll entertain any questions that you might have about those, that handout.
Ms. Kessler?
Yes. When you're cleaning and you're replacing those seats in the gym, can you also clean the rest of the others so that the whites sort of match on the in the arena bleachers for airport? Because some of them are just really black.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part.
Cleaning process.
Clean the bleachers so the white
will blend in.
In the arena?
Yes.
Okay. We're actually looking at replacing what did you call it, Tommy? The seating portion of those bleachers?
Yes.
The boards, I guess, the bleacher seats, tops?
All of them?
Yes, ma'am, that's what we're looking at.
That would solve the problem. Okay, this is the first time that I've heard or even read anything about a problem with the front doors to the arena, this last bullet for airport. I haven't heard that ever.
We've had some issues out there. Maintenance has had to work on those several times. Basically, it's storefront, and it's the least expensive way to go, I guess, when you put all that glass in there. And we're just looking at trying to beef up those doors.
So what's the problem with the existing doors?
Tommy, you want to address that a little bit?
Yes, sir. The existing doors have separated in the joints, and we've had to pull them back together numerous times and try to patch them up so we can keep them together so that they will actually close within what's called the mulligan, the center portion, because what's happening, they're expanding, they're striking there, and then they won't secure, and it causes real problems trying to get those doors to lock. The type of closure that's on those doors is not as durable as what we're proposing to put in there. And just for your information, we were able to get a trial run, if you will. Company gave us a couple of doors. They were installed, the installation is almost finished today, that are put the same style door at the back door of the auditorium, where you come out between the auditorium and the 100 hall. We had the same issue there. They've installed those two for us. They've got a little bit of work to finish on the closure, hopefully tomorrow, if not tomorrow, the first of the week, so that we can look at them a much sturdier door that will withstand the elements and stand this abuse. That's what we're looking at doing.
And we have funds to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Another question is that did the problems that we had with the rain last week at Brooklyn Casey and all the leaks, was that the result of the roofing that is currently going on, the re-roofing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so do they have to pay for the damages?
Yes, ma'am. They've cleaned up. They've brought a crew in. They've cleaned everything up, a restoration company. And basically, they put some temporary gutters on there. It was basically the gutters and that were taken off when they were re-roofing. They hadn't got to the point where they put them back on. And the water was running straight down off the building, and really it was the old windows that were there. It was running in through those windows and into the building.
So they're assuming that responsibility?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Can you give us the final cost for the I2 Tech construction?
It's not finished yet.
Okay, will you have those amounts for us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
I have another one, if you don't mind, I just turn a page and realize. The wooden floors that are going to be refinished this fall, we've got volleyball going on now, then we'll have basketball and wrestling. Who's going to be put out?
Typically, and tell me again, I'll need your help on this, typically we do it in between those two seasons, I think. It's what we've done in the past.
Ms. Castro, we've been doing this for several years now. I get with the coaches and the principals, and we pick a time when people can come in and at most displace anybody for a day or two so they can work these over the weekends and try to get them done as close to the initiation of basketball season as possible, so they'll be as fresh and clean and as best shape we can have them during basketball season when it starts.
So no one's really going to be put out?
No, ma'am, that's not the plan.
One question, Don, can you give us an update on Congaree cafeteria as far as progress there?
They've got the footers dug, they've been in demo, and I was out there yesterday or day before yesterday, and I think they finished demolition at this point. They're probably getting ready, they've been putting in they put the detention pond in, it's finished for the most part, they were buttoning all that up, and storm drainage system, so that now should we start to block water start coming out of the ground.
On schedule on that one, then, everything's so far relatively?
Yes, sir, they say they are, but we had a good bit of rain, and those footers got covered up pretty good.
They've taken the wall off there at the stage, and it's a solid wall now on the inside of the cafeteria.
With the wooden floors, like at the airport, they're going to do the bleachers also. That's what I understood. They were going to do the bleachers in the old gym.
Yes, ma'am, that's the plan.
Any other questions?
But the baseball field at airport, is that completed now?
Yes, ma'am. There'll be some additional work. Well, there'll be some additional work done right before the season. There needs to be some more dirt brought in for the infield, for the base paths. But yes, ma'am, he has finished putting all the sod in, fixed all the irrigation in that area.
Is there a guarantee on that sod? I was out there today, and it's not looking good.
Well, I was out there yesterday, and it was a little dry, and I talked to, in fact, Mr. King, I think you indicated we put too much water on it at one point in time.
That is correct.
So,
Yeah.
they'll stand behind it. It's Alan Wilson. Has a good reputation, local company.
Anything else? Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
There's questions I have about this drainage on the softball area, but I don't see that listed either. So can I ask that question?
It's in there.
Okay, the drainage on the softball, the drains are above ground level. So when you go out there and you look at it, the sidewalk is high and then it has some dirt going down straight onto the field. I don't understand the sidewalk being higher than the field level and the drains being higher than the silver, because that's just going to push the water onto the field.
Were you out there before yesterday?
I was there yesterday afternoon.
I was there today.
Were they taking out a sidewalk there
They
today?
took it out, the new concrete was put in, it was finished up about 3 o'clock.
Okay.
But
We had some issues. We've asked them, but basically the reason that the sidewalk is higher than the field is because of ADA accessibility.
Yes, sir.
You have to bring it down to a certain level, and then you can't have, you got to maintain a certain grade to get over to where your bleachers are and also to your press box. So I met with them yesterday, the day before yesterday. I can't remember. I've had so many things going on, so many meetings, but anyway, I've met with them. I've expressed my concerns. We're in the process of getting those taken care of. And part of that was taking the sidewalk out because it did not meet current ADA standards.
You have ADA to the home side, but you don't have it to the visitor side.
No, ma'am. Everybody will just have to sit. I don't know which is which. They can be visitors, none all on the same side.
But on the hill behind there, the way it was before, we'd come down from the gym area down, and then you would have sort of a flat area and a little bit of a banking before you go down the slope. Well, that banking helped part of the water to drain off down to the drain and away from the field. Well, now they have smoothed off the knoll, and now it comes down from the building, just gradually straight down to the field, and nothing's there to stop it.
Well, again, I met with the civil engineer and the contractor out there yesterday. We discussed water drainage, my concerns. They were putting in more catch basins to take care of the water that stands in the softball dugout on first base side. They were taking care of the water that comes off of the field, off of the bank, where that we've had to put blocks along with the sidewalk.
Yes, sir.
All of that's supposed to be remedied as well. So we're in the process of getting all that fixed.
Still under construction.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
I'm not happy. Let's just put it that way.
Oh. Neither am I.
Good.
Thank you, Ms. Stein. You finished?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I conclude my remarks.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next, we have enrollment and limited school choice update, Director of Student Services, Mr. Hinton.
Who's stole my reports? Where are my reports? There they are. Mr. Vaughn came by and he said, I need the reports. And I said, okay, here they are, and I never saw them again. What you're going to have tonight, is the first day of school. And you can see right now we're sitting at about 83-23. After these came to me, we were still enrolling kids. And we'll still be enrolling kids tomorrow. That's with the 8,300, there's about 92 or 93 all-day 4-year-olds that won't count part of our average daily membership. But this will be coming up. If you look at the individual schools, Dr. Hayward Evans has done a great job of shifting a few people around to make these things. And if you'll notice around the kindergarten numbers, I put a parenthesis. It's because they had meetings today, and some of our parents didn't meet, so those numbers will go up tomorrow. For example, Ashley called me from Hungry Wood, and she said that she had several parents call and say they couldn't make the meeting, but their kids will be there tomorrow, so those numbers will be going up. Starting with BC Grammar number 1. Do you have any questions?
Lower than last month, so those students will probably show up in the next week or two.
We're still, tomorrow, student services, we have meetings with families trying to enroll from starting at 7:30 in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So we will, I think the numbers will come. They are a little low in some areas.
A lot lower than.
Yes, ma'am, than the projections at some schools. St. Hungary Elementary. Seawick, again, the kindergarten numbers will go up. Their first grade is pretty much on the money, and the half-day 4-year-olds don't come in until next week. And that, let me tell you, I guess I maybe found the reason why maybe kindergarten, how to judge kindergarten. Last year, we had a time filling that half-day 4-year-old. This year, we already have 120 kids, and we've got 8 or 9 on the waiting list. So I'm going to predict tonight that next year's kindergarten may be a doozy. So. Also, your 3 and 4 preschool disabilities class, they won't come on until next week either. And the other 4-year-olds start. Davis Early Childhood Center. We did move a teacher from there, Dr. Hayward.
Yes, we did move a kindergarten teacher to still a second grade position at Davis. And then that FTE was actually granted to us.
Thank you. And again, there'll be more than that tomorrow. Little River. Springdale Elementary. And I know there's more kindergartners in there. Taylor Elementary. Wood Elementary. And this school wins the prize. If you'll go back and look at last month, I think it was 508 they had predicted. They're only about 3 or 4 off, so Ms. Montstella did a great job, Ms. Bryson. Thank you, sir. That's Busby Creative Arts Academy. That new teacher was added to 8th grade. Still heavy there a little bit in that 7th grade. Former Middle School. Ridge Middle School. There's North Side. We added a teacher at 6th grade there. And so that last time it was like 27 to 1, now it's down to 22 to 1. Airport High School. And I had to go back and let Frank Giovanelli speak to me from the air, because the first time I ever saw these from high schools, he said, "You got to calm down. They come in and they will, and it'll be 100 more by the end of 10 days. They come in like that." And it's, if you sit down and have to enter a high school, new high school student, it takes a while, because you got to put all their courses in and things like that, especially if they're from out of state. You can't pull over from the power school. But if you go back and look at last year's, this is about where they started. And Brooklyn Casey. That's pretty much on the numbers there. Honey did a great job with their numbers. Next month I'll be bringing you the actual exact numbers and everything. For all the choices. One thing I've never given you, but I'll be able to give you, because I want you to see employee choice. We've always done limited school choice, but I'm going to bring all the different choices so you can see how they impact the district and everything like that. I think once I get everything counted, it may be the best that I've been able to. When we open it up in January and close it off at the end of March, I think it's the most I've been able to place. But I always remember Mr. Bingham one night said to me, "Why can't you place the rest of them?" So I still want one day, and I hope you get 100%, and we try our best to do that. Plus, we've been helping a lot of kids out. Your policy that allows seniors to finish their 12th grade year at their high schools is a really good one. We have a lot of kids move from airport into the BC zone that are seniors, and BC kids move from airport zone, and we're able to let them get that last year until they can graduate with their class. And homeless and homebound and things like that are off to a start too. Those that we've had, I didn't have to complain about somebody not getting picked up today, probably on my answering sheet. At the end of 10 days, we'll send you the final report and let you see those numbers. And again, people come in after Labor Day too, that's always a big day. Have any questions?
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Hinton. Okay, next we have Human Resources. Dr. Higgins. Okay, number 4. Next we have Executive.
As part of our non-report on Human Resources, Madam Chairman, I have failed to introduce 2 new principals to the board. Would you allow me to do that before we go to it? I'm sorry. We have Dr. David Brazil. David came up with when we did the earlier recognition. And Mr. Chris Dickey, Chris, if you have gone by BC number 1, Jim Hinton must drive the streets of this community at night. But Chris has been working till 10 o'clock, 7 days a week, and Jim Hinton is the guy that has been monitoring. So, anyway, 2 new folks to Lexington, to family, and we're proud to have them, and I'm sorry I had to introduce them.
And of course, Hope is not new, but she is.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is executive session.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion the Board of Trustees enter closed session for consideration of personal appointments and resignations and discussion of property matters.
Have a motion, to have a second? Second by Mr. Giles. We are now in executive session. Take a